Aumann Auctions, we strive to bring buyers and sellers together in a pleasurable and stress-free environment. Our company is built on over 43 years of ethical practices and the constant refinement of our craft. If you are considering an auction, Aumann Auctions has the variety of services you need to make your auction a success. We are a nationwide company serving clients coast to coast and providing over 100 auctions per year. We specialize in antique tractors, farmland, real estate, farm toys, and tractor memorabilia, just to name a few. Visit our website or give us a call for a no-obligation consultation.
These tractors are basically about a 1911 technology, and they were made by Universal Tractor Company, Stillwater, Minnesota. And I would say they were sold under 5 or 6 different names. Minneapolis, these were we used these tractors in 1911, 12, long in there. Most of right after that, they were sold to Rumley Gas Pool. Rumley sold them for a couple years, but these were really primitive. We got these from another collector down south of Wichita, and I've been working on them for 2 years. And what you see now is what pretty well done. One of them's mine, and one of them I'm doing for another fella. I'd say there's about not over 20 of them in existence, so it's still a pretty rare tractor. It's not extremely rare, but yeah, I think we ought to get the door open over there, and then you can see more about it. Get to one of these. Okay. Yeah, this transmission this comes right off the primary shaft here. That's where the clutch and in order to make a 2-speed transmission out of it, this is it's the immediate shaft. This is your gear changer shaft. You have to slide this in and out by hand, which would have, to my estimation, would have been a lot better if it just had 1 speed. So, and then it goes into the differential and the pigeon shaft and all these. Really primitive. I think they're really difficult to work on because of the lay-down engine and getting the cylinder heads off and everything every year to do a valve job on them. Well, you'd have to take off a lot of the braces, all the manifold pipes, and all that stuff. So you got 4 manifolds. You got the water manifold on top and one underneath, and this is your intake, and you got the exhaust over there on the other side. That'd be a job. For just in the front, the back one, you'd have to lay back there in the cab. In order to get the engine out of this thing, you'd have to take the side rails off, take the cab sides off, the rear wheels and everything. That's where we just put them back together like in a reverse, you know. You had a subframe down here, you had to set the engine on there, and then you could just start building a tractor around it. And that was the biggest rub I had, was working on these things, was getting the engines down and get them back in there so I could proceed with the rest of it, you know. That was the biggest thing. Once I got the engine, I could go along pretty good on them. The sheet metal, I made all new sheet metal. I made most of that myself. I built the cabs. Then mostly from just pictures. I didn't have anything to look at. I put a lot of tubes in the radiators, and mostly this front row was the one that was dinged up, you know, where they've been bumped all the time. The tubing I got was it was too heavy to roll in there, you know, to pressure press it in. So I just soldered them in. Originally they were just pressed, you know, like Avery has a little wedge drive in there and it spreads that. It's just thermal siphon. It doesn't have a pump of any kind, but most tractors didn't back then. It was just thermal. It's extremely large, you know, capacity, so it really wouldn't need a pump. They just had this, this is a Detroit lubricator, and it dries, vertical shaft dries off the camshaft, and there's a bevel gear back in there, drives a lot of this stuff. We were fortunate to find a couple of pretty good lubricators and rebuild them. But still got a little ways to go. We need some governor linkage out, just a couple of things that they'll just be about ready to take out of here. This is your belt pulley clutch here, and I rebuilt all that stuff. I found out you can't use brake lining, it's too hard. I used brake lining and I couldn't get it to grip, it was just slide, so I had to take them all apart again and put like a webbing, belting in there, you know, something that will grip them. They work good now. I worked with a couple other collectors and at the same time, so we was able to get a lot of parts, you know. There was 3 or 4 of us working on stuff at the same time, so we were able to trade parts with other guys and get the stuff all made. This will be about the tail end of them. I don't think there's too much left out there.
We put the bundles, as we call them, in this feeder. As they feed into the machine, they're chopped apart. As they're chopped apart, they come down into the cylinder in the machine, which is a drum, which has fingers on it. And those fingers beat the grain apart, just like in the ancient times when they'd throw the grain up in the air and then they'd beat it with a stick, and the light stuff would fly away. The same thing happens in the threshing machine. After it goes through the cylinder, it goes back through here through straw walkers, and that lets the grain sift through them into the bottom of the machine, and the big fans blow air up through them, and it keeps the straw floating through the machine. As that floats through the machine, like I say, the grain sifts out, it comes down here to the bottom, and it ends up going across to the other side and up the elevator and into the wagon. Now the straw continues on and goes through anything that the threshing machine didn't think separated, comes back into this conveyor, goes to the top, and goes through the machine again. Then when it gets back here to the back again, like I say, the straw floats along until it gets into this section in here, where there's a large fan, which we can see better on the other side, but all it does is take the straw and the light stuff, blow it out and into the stack in the back. That's basically all the way the threshing machine works. It's a real simple machine. Doesn't take a lot of adjustment or a lot of working to make it work. And that's basically all it is. Up on top, the elevator weighs the grain, so you know how many bushels of grain we got out of that wagon load we just did. We got 10 bushels out of it, which I was amazed at. There wasn't really much there. Then it loads it off in the wagon, so it can be hauled off to the elevator to be sold. You know, it's the forerunner of the combine you see today on the farm. The newer combines they're adapted to where they can cut corn, beans, and oats and all that, you know, just by changing a few settings in the machine.